Hello everybody and welcome back to another video for the day. We're going back into r/AmITheDevil because, hey look, everybody needs some good old background music, and you know what's better than background music than talking about horrible people? So if you guys would like to be absolutely amazing, show your support and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on them notifications. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter's stepkid that she isn't family? Yeah, for anybody not sure what r/AmITheDevil is, this is your initiation pretty much. It's like somebody wondering if they're the horrible human being, but they're the only one in the room that is questioning it. The background is my daughter Jen, fake name 40F, is married to Sarah, 48F. Sarah had a kid from a previous marriage, Mandy, 21F, and Sarah and Jen have 3 other children. One who was adopted from foster care, and the others conceived through in vitro fertilization. Mandy goes to college near me and works part-time at the horse farm I own as a riding instructor for youth levels. She's a good employee who is good with both kids and horses, so I never had any trouble with her. Recently, I overheard Mandy talking to the parents of a student. They asked her how she got the job, and she said, "Oh, my grandmother owns the school," and called it a family business. This gives me pause because I do not consider Mandy's family. She is my daughter's stepkid. I took her aside that afternoon and told her that I would really appreciate her not using loaded terms like that, and she pushed back saying Jen legally adopted me. In the eyes of the court, she is my mom. I told her the eyes of the court are one thing, but family means something else to me personally. And that while I appreciate the hard work that she puts in, we don't share a blood connection, and I don't consider her family, just a trusted employee. She started challenging me, asking me if I considered her adopted sibling to be family. And I was honest and said no, none of Sarah's children are family to me, as we share no blood relation. She went off, but I kept things professional and ended the conversation. Well, Mandy called out for the next 3 days that she was scheduled to work, and I was furious. About a week later, she called to tell me that she found another job. She also said that she had worked for less money than she could have made elsewhere, because she thought that we were family, but now was one looking to get a lawyer for wage theft, which I'm confident she doesn't have a case for, as I paid her for all of her shifts. I tried to talk to Jen and Sarah, but this seems that Mandy has already gotten to them, and they were pretty frosty and not interested in having the conversation about Mandy's behavior being completely out of line. I don't feel as if I am in the wrong. I was honest when Mandy asked if I considered her family and enforced a reasonable boundary around it. I can't help that without a biological relation, I don't feel a family connection to anyone. Am I the butthole? Yes, without a frickin' doubt. Yeah, way to go, just absolutely messing up with somebody. And what do you want to bet the whole, "Oh, I thought we were family," was one of the things that you used to get her to work at your place for what I'm very much going to guess was below minimum wage. Yeah, see, I paid her. That doesn't mean it was an appropriate rate. All I know for sure is, congratulations on making sure that every single Thanksgiving you have going forward going to be awkward as hell. As I've stated in the past, you can have blood that is not family and family that is not blood. Just because you happen to share a genetic coding, that does not mean that that person is or is not a family member. I finally got attractive in my late 30s, and I absolutely hate it. Hey everyone, I really need to get this off my chest, and apologize if it comes off as a ramble. Using a throwaway because I hate this. I'm a 36-year-old guy, and for most of all in my life, I was never considered attractive by the opposite sex. But now, in my mid-30s, something has changed. All of a sudden, I'm getting attention from women, going on dates, and honestly, I hate it. I can't shake the feeling that this attention isn't genuine. Like it's all out of desperation rather than a real interest. For a bit of a background, I'm a Middle Eastern guy, introverted, with hobbies like video games and cycling. During high school and undergrad, I mostly hung out with guys and had almost zero interaction with women unless it was school-related. I was shy, and while I heard some girls might have been interested, nothing ever came of it. In university, Europe, it was more or less the same story. I tried joining clubs and group activities, but I never really bonded with anyone, especially women. My interactions always felt polite but transactional, and when I tried hitting the club scene with friends, I was completely invisible. Dating was non-existent for me until I met someone during grad school. We dated for 3 to 4 years, but she was, for lack of a better word, average. There was nothing special about our relationship, and it didn't last. Things got worse in my late 20s when I moved to a different country, Canada. The dating scene was brutal, and as a non-native English speaker with a less than bubbly personality, I felt I had no chance. I tried everything to build a social circle, hanging out with coworkers, joining sports classes, meetups, going to events, but nothing clicked. Out of desperation, I started dating a single mother, but I knew and made it understood from the start that it wasn't serious. I had no interest in getting into a relationship with someone who had so much baggage. Despite this, we continued seeing each other because of physical needs, which made me feel even worse about myself and for her. Then, during the beer virus, my life changed. I landed a high-paying job, got into great shape hitting the gym, regularly, but socially. I completely isolated myself. Even decided to cut off a small group of friends, mostly acquaintances, that I had focused more on my hobbies and making money. Now, in my mid-30s, I'm suddenly getting a lot of attention from women, mostly in their 30s and some even younger. Even on dating apps, where, to my knowledge, a lot of people don't get matches, I'm doing just fine. At first, I enjoyed it, went on dates, slept around, but then it hit me. This isn't something to celebrate. It feels like now that I have a stable job, my own place in an expensive area, and I'm more physically appealing, women who wouldn't have glanced at me before are suddenly interested. It's hard not to feel skeptical. I despise the red pill and black pill mentality, but it's difficult not to question this newfound attractiveness. If I met someone I was genuinely attracted to, personality and looks, in my younger years, we could have built something together. Now, it feels unfair to settle down with someone unless they bring something equal to the table. Plus, as I get older, the dating field seems to be tipping in my favor. Women's biological clocks are tipping, while mine isn't. And for the first time, I feel like I have the upper hand in dating. I understand this sounds petty, but the girls would need to wow me in order to move forward. It makes me wonder why I should entertain women who are desperate to settle down and start a family. I feel like I'm unintentionally taking out my past experiences on women who had nothing to do with them. At this point, I noticed I'm not in the right mindset and decided to take a break and seek help. I've been seeing a therapist for a couple of months to make sense of these feelings, and here's what I've learned. 1. I wasn't owed the attention I lacked when I was younger. 2. My past experiences are valid, and I don't have to justify my grievances. 3. I might have had undiagnosed issues that prevented me from bonding earlier. Still working on this. 4. I need to forgive myself and others to move forward. 5. I can't choose to cultivate this resentment, but it will only postpone the happiness I might find. This all makes sense, but it's still hard to shake off these feelings. I'm struggling, and I guess I'm reaching out to see if anyone else has had a similar experience. How did you overcome these negative thoughts and move forward? TLDR, wasn't attractive in my youth, became attractive in my 30s, but I'm struggling with negative thoughts and skepticism about this newfound attention. Looking for advice on how to move forward. P.S. I used GPT to format this post because the original was a bit of a ramble and hard to follow. Update. I want to start by thanking everyone who is taking the time to comment, whether positive or negative. I've read through upwards of 1,500 comments, and there is a lot to digest. Since I'm not planning to respond to individual posts, I thought it was best to update the post with some additional thoughts, and leave it at that. First, regarding my past long-term relationships, I want to clarify a few things. The grad school relationship ended amicably when I had to move abroad again. In fact, we're still in touch and on friendly terms. She was a wonderful person, but there was never a deep attraction between us. It was more about relationship than anything else, hence the word average. As for the single mom, while I understand her struggles, we were two consenting adults who understood the nature of our relationship. The reason I ultimately ended things was that her child was starting to form attachments, and I didn't want to cause any harm. I mentioned the ethnicity to highlight the disadvantages I did face in the dating scene here. There are many stereotypes associated with my background, and I often feel like the need to not only disprove them, but also overcompensate in many instances. I'm not naive. I know that dating is a numbers game, and statistically given my ethnicity, I'm pretty low on the hierarchy of potential partners. Some have pointed out that my mention of housing and fitness and recent dating success might come across as a humble brag. My intention was to emphasize that I've achieved these things on my own, especially considering how tough it is. Folks in Canada will understand. It takes a lot of work and sacrifice to provide for myself in a way that I have, with little support or cooperation. Given my introvert nature, I never really had a chance to let my personality shine through in younger years, which might have helped me attract someone. I was just an average nerdy guy who never had that elusive X factor. It didn't matter how friendly I was simply overlooked. For those asking for proof or photos, you'll just have to take my word for it. I was never overweight or balding or anything like that, just plain average. Maybe I was above average in some ways, like being in engineering and having a lot of hobbies. But I guess back then, it didn't really matter when it came to looks. To clarify where my grievance is coming from, I guess I'm just bitter about being ignored during my formative years, when we all need encouragement and the desire to be liked and appreciated. My comments about women and their age stem from the fact that it seems like that is the one thing that has fundamentally changed. Well, I am still pretty much the same person I was before, which makes me skeptical. No one wants to be the backup option and feel like they should just be grateful for finally being given a chance. What's off-putting in the situation's a sudden sense of urgency on their part, with some of the comments and signals that they are sending, as if there is now an obligation for me to commit. Just because you've shown up doesn't mean you are entitled to share in what I've built, unless you can bring something of equal value to the relationship. For those reiterating red/black pill talking points, while there may be some overlap with reality, I honestly don't think it is a helpful mindset. It is a dark hole to slip into, especially if you are struggling with dating as a young man. Ultimately, I want to emphasize that I'm not actively dating, so all of you ladies are safe. I'm just having fun for now and continuing my therapy. One last comment for my fellow guys, if I may. If you can afford it, please seek therapy if you are going down a spiral. It does help gradually and makes life easier. Very much so, I can confirm for that. I won't be posting further on this thread, but rest assured I'm monitoring it with my main account. Thank you again for your attention. Cheers. Now, I will say you getting a therapist is very much a good move because it helps solve any type of, or at least it helps you work on any type of those mental struggles that you've been going on with, like, why am I getting this attention? Now, do I feel like I'm deserving of this attention? Yeah, very much is just like, you're not owed attention just because you didn't get get it when you were younger. Sometimes people's preferences do change, and plus it also can just be that, like, dating apps can kinda suck sometimes. And when it comes down to it, you don't really need to have that significant other relationship. It should be more of just like the sprinkles on top of life and all. You should be able to be happy by yourself, and if there's somebody else that you get to enjoy doing all these things with, cool. If not, well, you still got yourself. But yeah, just because you happen to have not gotten the attention when you were younger, and now suddenly you get any attention, because, God forbid, you happen to take care of yourself a little bit, that doesn't mean that you are owed that attention. Oh yeah, and also last thing to add, if you are getting help, very much that don't justify you bashing other people. Actually, just overall, there's not really any justification to bash anybody else just because life might not be going your way at the time in your life you want it to be going your way. Don't be like that. Don't be like this dude. Actually get help and be a respectful human being. Am I the a-hole for hiding my girlfriend's jewelry? Well, that's called thief, but you're the only one in here questioning that. I, 32M, have been with my girlfriend, we'll call her Dawn, 30F, for just under a year. Some helpful context, she was married at 24. Her husband died 2 years ago. Since his passing, she moved to my city, and we are now planning for me to move in with her and when my lease is up in the fall. I stay there a minimum of 4 days a week currently. Dawn's late husband passed in a work-related accident. 2 others also passed, and a few more were injured. From what I understand, it took her some time to heal, understandably. She met a few other people for dates before me, but I am the only one that she connected with over time. Part of her healing has been in a form of downsizing. She still has photos with him online and a lot of physical photo albums, but the only major thing on display are a stuffed animal that he got her, which sits on her headboard with a little display on her fireplace mantle. One of those digital photo frames of photos, a 3-fold frame with a photo from his proposal, hidden photographer, a photo from their engagement shoot, and a wedding photo. His ashes, their wedding rings, and his engagement ring. She still has her engagement ring and wears it on a chain. Dawes says that she always loved the Harvest Moon series, and had always wanted her engagement ring to incorporate a blue feather, which is what you use to propose in the game. Her late husband customized a beautiful ring with a sapphire feather on it, and his engagement ring also had one. I was mostly fine with her wearing it until I started attending work-related events with her. Her job is somewhat political and has a lot of networking events. Her friends know why the ring is important, and mine learned over time. But almost every networking event, someone asks about it, and she always tells them that it's the engagement ring from her late husband. It made me uneasy to hear it so often, but I was fine until I wasn't. I didn't mind people knowing that she was married before, but I guess every time people asked her about it, it made me feel like I was her second choice. I asked her to stop wearing it, as seeing it and hearing about it was starting to get to me, and was a constant reminder that in her ideal life, he would still be there, and she wouldn't even know me. We compromised. She wouldn't wear it out except for events where people didn't know the story and were likely to ask. Fast forward to last week. We had an event with a blue color scheme, and she had a beautiful blue dress. Normally, she wears a bracelet, earrings, and necklace, but this time she just had a bracelet and earrings, so I asked before we left. She didn't have any other necklaces that went with the earrings, so I told her to wear the engagement one if she wanted. Sure enough, somebody not only asked about the ring, but continued the conversation, whereas normally the subject changed once they found out that her husband passed away. The person asked what kind of ring Dawn would want if she remarried, and she said that she wasn't sure. Whatever I thought suited her as long as the band was silver. I felt my stomach drop. It hurt to know that her old ring was such a special meaning and was something that she always wanted, but now it didn't matter at all. The next morning I confronted her, and she told me in the newer games there's a special flower to propose, and I could incorporate that. But I felt like she was appeasing me. I'm not sure what came over me, but when Dawn was in the shower that afternoon, I took the ring from the sink. She's normally very careful with it, keeping it in a box on the mantle when she isn't wearing it, and on the edge of the sink when she showers. She always keeps the plug in the sink in case her cat knocks it into the sink. The door had been opened about halfway and the shower was foggy. I'm certain that she didn't see me reach in or unplug the sink. After she dried off, she went to grab the chain and immediately freaked out. I feigned helping her look for it and told her that it would probably turn up. The next day before work, she looked exhausted and told me that she got up early to look for it. But she was a mess, and I'm not sure she slept, but we both went to work. When I got home, the place was spotless and she was crying. She came home from work sick. She does have an anxiety disorder and, in retrospect, probably felt ill at work. She flipped the place upside down, cleaning, vacuuming, and then going through the container, and even snaking the drain. My intention was to give her the chain back at night and pretend that I found it somewhere in hopes that I would get her to leave the ring on the mantle. But there was no way I could pretend it was anywhere. Not with the way that she searched. So I took it out of my wallet and fessed up. She was inconsolable and told me to go home. I tried texting and calling all week, and she told me that she needed space. Last weekend, I went to a barbecue at our friend's, my friend's originally, and she was supposed to attend with me. She did text me that morning and told me to tell people that I was sick, but they noticed my demeanor eventually, and I told them the story. The results were mixed. I'd say about half of our friends took her side fairly quickly. One guy did say I set a boundary, and she should have known that I didn't really mean it when I said that she could wear it. And a second friend agreed, but said that it wasn't her fault that somebody asked about it. A third friend also agreed with the other two, but his girlfriend pointed out that I expressed that it was okay, and that if I didn't mean it, I shouldn't have said it. The rest of the group is kind of on the fence, saying me hiding it was going too far and that I could have lost it. The general consensus is that I should have re-established the boundary after the event, but that hiding it was going too far. I see what they mean, but still think that I made a good point. At any point, the chain could break, be stolen on vacation, accidentally become unclasped, etc. And that if the ring was so important, it should stay home with the others. I also wanted to note that I don't mind the small mantle tribute, and we discussed in the past that it can stay up when I move in. It's not the memories I don't like, it's the specific ring when she wears it. The ring didn't get lost, eaten by the cat, or damaged, and I think that my point was made. So, am I the a-hole here? Regardless of if you think I am the a-hole or not, can you please recommend any ways I can fix this? I love Dawn and very much want to propose after I officially move in. She entered a text today, but was very short in distance. I don't want to lose her. Well, I can say this right now, dude, you are very much going to have one heck of a strategy in order to try to get things to not end up being more crappy than they already are, dude. Because, you know, it's not like taking any type of jewelry for anybody or anything that has a sentimental value to somebody because, God forbid, you happen to get a little upsetty spaghetti about it is not totally a horrible thing. But with that is going to have to be it with the video. If you guys would love to be absolutely amazing, show your support, and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye!